In this video, we are talking about an unusual storm that will bring multiple days of severe weather, snow, and ice to many across the U.S. The Storm Prediction Center has already issued severe weather outlooks for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We're going to break down all this information so you can stay ahead of this thing. Welcome back, y'all. Ryan Hall here with the weather forecast. I'm still feeling under the weather today, but I am a little bit better. Thanks for all the kind words yesterday. I now know every single home remedy for a cold, and I do believe you guys helped a lot. I'm feeling better. I'm ready to go. Let's track some severe weather. All right, starting out here, looking at the whole continental U.S., and we are looking at the HRRR model, and you notice there's something a little different here. We're trying out a new graphic system. This is from Radar Omega. We might start using this, especially for our short-range models and our simulated radar stuff. If you want to keep up with the date and time, it's still always above my head there in Eastern time. So here we are at 2 p.m. Let's push this forward, and as you can see, by 11 p.m. this evening, we're going to see a lot of precipitation start to break out from the west coast all the way over to the Rockies in the form of rain and snow, possibly heavy snow in the higher elevations over here near Wyoming and Montana. This is associated with some moisture that's working its way over towards the central portion of the country to form our next storm system that we will be spending a lot of time talking about today. And as you can see, things are starting to open up here. We have our Gulf of Mexico flow of moisture coming up that is going to lead to precipitation to break out here where all those things meet. And we're going to see heavy rain and storms in Iowa all the way up through Minnesota, and then watch the backside. Really heavy snow breaking out here from Nebraska all the way up into Minnesota. That is going to be a legitimate snowstorm for you guys, and snow's going to be falling at incredible rates. Additionally, we have severe weather ongoing in Iowa here around 6 p.m. tomorrow. We're going to talk about that much more in depth right here in a second. But look at all this ice. Look at all the sleet and freezing rain falling in the UP of Michigan, northern Wisconsin, all the way over into Minnesota. This is more than likely going to be an ice storm for you guys, and once again, we're going to talk about that much more here in a little bit, but this is the overall progression of the storm. And as you can see, all the way out in 7 a.m. on March 6th, we're going to be talking about that heavy snow up here in Ontario and Quebec, and a lot of that ice in southern portions of southeastern Canada, maybe even approaching Ottawa. So a lot to talk about, so let's start off with our multi-day severe weather threat. All right, once again, this is not just going to be a one-day severe weather event. We're going to see this over the course of 3, possibly even 4 days. Starts off tomorrow here in Iowa. You can see the entire state of Iowa pretty much is under a slight risk of severe weather. And then as we head into Sunday, we have another area of severe weather possible here in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, all the way up into Tennessee and Missouri. And this is associated with that same storm system. And then guess what? On Monday, this will move to the south and east a little bit. Okay, so we have a multiple day severe weather threat going on here. Let's start off with tomorrow by looking at those severe weather parameters. First off, let's take a look at those dew points. Okay, you can see the really moist air working up from the Gulf of Mexico here. You can see some of these dew points in the lower 60s down here in Texas, and then the further north you go, they kind of decrease a little bit, but we're still close to 60 all the way up here in Kansas and Nebraska. And then look, you can literally see the swirl of the low pressure center right there in Nebraska as we push this thing forward, and this is going to amplify the dew points right here on the border of Nebraska and Iowa around Omaha around 3 p.m. tomorrow, to where some people will see widespread 60-degree dew points. And then look, right next to that, we have an area of much lower dew points. Okay, we call this a dry line. This dry air is going to push into the moist air and cause updrafts. Okay, it's going to push that moisture up into the sky and create big thunderstorms all the way through Iowa. Okay, look at that dry line as it progresses through. Additionally, we're going to have CAPE. Okay, we're going to have convective available potential energy. There's going to be plenty of it out there. Look at this, we're approaching 2,000, maybe 2,200 joules per kilogram right along the border of Nebraska and Iowa here tomorrow at 4 p.m. That is plenty of energy to absolutely start making big storms, possibly supercell storms form. And then of course we have to take a look at those 850 millibar winds. We do have some increased winds out here. We're talking about anywhere from 40 to 50 knots in that lower level jet streak, and that is going to serve as tornado juice, right? Okay, now let's put all those ingredients together and we get a model output called the SIGTOR, the Significant Tornado Parameter. This is going to show us where tornadoes are most likely to form, and look, we start to get some pretty increased values over here just west of Des Moines. Okay, this is between Omaha and Des Moines along I-80 there. That's where I think we have probably the best shot of seeing some tornadic thunderstorms tomorrow, and then things kind of spread out and fizzle out as we go later on into the night. Really, when you see those concentrated values here that could possibly interact with those supercells, that's where I think we have the greatest potential of seeing tornadoes. Once again, that's around 5 to 7 p.m. tomorrow. So what's all this going to look like on the radar? Okay, once again, this is what the radar could look like tomorrow. It's not exact. We're going to have a little cluster of storms, possibly some lightning, some thunder, some small hail coming through the Des Moines area, central Iowa, around 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, and then possibly another round around 9 a.m. and then the real storm starts coming together around 3 p.m. Look at this, guys. You can see that low pressure center spinning. You can see the warm air coming up out in front and that really cold air digging in behind. That is forming this line of storms, and this will probably cause some straight line damaging wind problems. This is not a derecho, okay? But still, some strong winds, some damaging winds are possible with this as that moves off to the north and east, okay? And we're going to see this be a problem possibly even in Waterloo, Cedar Rapids, all the way up into Wisconsin. But look at this. If I zoom in a little bit, behind the main line, there's a new warm sector that has opened, and it's allowing for some of these supercell thunderstorms to potentially form right where we have some of that really intense convective energy. Remember, right across the border here of Nebraska and Iowa, that's where we were looking at that dry slot sneaking in and forcing the convection. And would you looky here, according to our simulated radar, we are going to have supercells right here where I believe we have the greatest threat of seeing tornadic ingredients. So you put those two things together and it's not a very good sign. Now, I'm not expecting a big tornado outbreak. I'm not expecting a high risk event, but I do think we will see a couple tornadoes tomorrow if this actually comes to fruition. If you're in Omaha or Des Moines or anywhere in between there, you have to keep that in mind. But the good thing is, it looks like as we go later on into the evening, possibly past 8 p.m., this is going to die out pretty significantly, okay? There's still going to be some action up here that makes it into southeastern Minnesota, which is crazy because, you know, in December, we just broke the record for the latest tornado ever, and now we're talking about the very slight potential of breaking the record for the earliest tornado ever. A March tornado in Minnesota is unheard of, so if we do end up seeing something like that, what an incredible stretch of weather we have been having. So yeah, this is a new graphic system we could potentially start using. Let me know if you like it. We're not ready with all the other models yet and all the other stuff that we normally look at. So to continue this video, we are going to go back to Weatherbell with our normal graphic system. All right, now back to the traditional view here. We're looking at the Euro model, the instantaneous flash rate. And as you can see, the placement of these storms is very similar to what the HRRR is showing. But now we have to start thinking about the future, right? We have this cold front, this draping line, or this boundary that's going to set up here and potentially choke off our moisture inflow again and start some new convection down here a little bit further to the south. Like clockwork, we see new storms forming here in the Oklahoma and Arkansas region around 4, 5, 6 p.m. on Sunday. And here's a look at that lower level jet. Once again, we have a very, significant area of increased jet streak winds between 3 p.m. and 3 a.m. when these storms will be out there. So I do think the tornado possibility is still a reality down here in Arkansas late Sunday into early Monday. One thing we have working in our favor is the limited CAPE. Okay, we don't have a lot of convective available potential energy out here, not even as much as what we were seeing up in Iowa. Keep that in mind. That might keep this area of severe weather a little bit more tame, but I still think that hail, damaging winds, and an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out down here. And once again, you can see that moisture being flung up into the boundary layer and really just wiped out right there along that dry line, and that's where we expect some of the biggest storms to form. Remember, when cold, dry air sneaks underneath the warm air rises rapidly and convects in the atmosphere, and that's why we're talking about these storms. And then look, as we go all the way out later in the day, on Monday, that line progresses further south and east, and you guessed it, yes, we have another chance of severe weather in the deep south all the way back on Monday. So here's the full progression, right? We've got the severe storms in Iowa with big hail, damaging winds, and possibly some tornadoes. We have more big storms across the southern portion of the U.S. from Oklahoma into Missouri with, once again, a better chance of tornadoes, I think, and certainly some heavy rain. And then as we go all the way into Monday, we have a line of storms that will be moving through the deep south all the way through the end of the day on Monday. And, we do have the chance for some supercells down here, but I think this this was mostly going to be a straight line damaging wind event for the Deep South, at least for now. Don't be scared, be prepared, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for constant updates as we go forward. All right, we're not only talking about severe weather here, we also have a pretty big snowstorm and potential ice storm on the backside of this. And I'm telling you guys, some of this snow will be extremely heavy at times. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw, thunder snow and some of these heavier snow showers. And then also thunder freezing rain and thunder sleet up here in Minnesota, as some of these thunderstorms are going to be rushing into the cold air. And once again, I do believe some ice accumulation is going to be possible there. Very heavy snow by 12 a.m. on Sunday in Minnesota. And look at this giant band of freezing rain that goes from Wisconsin all the way into Vermont Sunday. And I really do think some of the biggest ice accumulations are going to be happening here in portions of Ontario, north of the lakes, even northern Michigan. There's a chance that you guys could see some of that ice as well. Most of the snow is staying off to the north quite a bit. And then we're going to see some gusty winds come through the northeast with some rain showers, and not really much in the way of snow or ice or anything for you guys as we go all the way through Sunday. And then our snowstorm is going to drop intermittent areas of 3 to 6 inches from Nebraska all the way up into the UP of Michigan, with embedded areas inside of that of 6 to 12 inches. Okay, there's going to be some very isolated small spots that see a foot of snow from this. It just depends on what kind of band you get under. And I think the most likely areas to see that's going to be in South Dakota, Minnesota, extreme northern Wisconsin, and of course into the extreme northwestern portion of the UP of Michigan. And then of course way up here in Canada, you guys are going to get buried in snow as well. And the freezing rain totals look pretty concerning here for a lot of Wisconsin, UP of Michigan, and then of course as we go into Canada, guys, over 1/4 of an inch of ice is possible. This will lead to power outages. So, once again, don't say I didn't warn you. There's a lot of things going on with this storm, and I think the ice potential is being overlooked. If you have a generator or if you have some way of dealing with a power outage, and you're in the pink here, do whatever you can to prepare now, because I think that there will be some places that do receive enough ice to bring down trees and power lines. So just make sure you're prepared for that. There's a chance that nothing happens at all and it's just regular rain. But if this happens, you're going to be glad that you prepared. All right, last but not least, what's next, Ryan? What are we looking at down the road? Once again, we've been talking about this for a long time, and the closer we get to it, the more it seems like this is going to be a reality. We've got a big ridge. We got some warm weather that's fueling our storms, but that is going to quickly be replaced by an area of cold air that will get pretty much the entire country below average with our temperatures. This sets the stage for another incredible area of cold air to build up back here in Canada and towards the western side of the US, and then unleash itself onto the central and eastern portion of the US as we get into the middle of March. Okay, now this is intense cold weather. Okay, we're talking about 30 degrees below normal in some places in Texas, all the way out into the central portion of the US, and this is a large area as well. This is a very widespread below average temperature event, and this is going to massively disrupt our weather pattern. Do you like snow? Well, this is the perfect situation for you if you like snow on the East Coast, because it's stuff like this that always causes those surprise March blizzards. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but this is the kind of ingredients that you look for if you're trying to find one of those. The current run of the Euro does take our second area of storms that causes the severe weather in the southeast and puts a little area of snow on top of it and runs that through the northern and northeastern portion of the U.S. on March 8th, possibly bringing a couple of inches to you guys all the way up there into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, possibly even upstate New York as well, maybe more than 4 inches for some people. And then we get that cold air setting in, and then our next big storm does set up back there on March 12th. Okay, so right now you can see the cold air coming down. You can see the moisture down here in the Gulf that is willing to work with it. And right now what we're seeing is that, this is a big snowstorm for a lot of people, but this isn't exactly what it's going to look like. Okay, we have to continue to watch these models closely and see what's going to happen. Okay, I do believe that somebody in this area, in that red circle, is going to see a whopper of a snowstorm from this thing, and I just don't know exactly where it's going to be yet. Okay, so if you like snow, stay tuned, because we're going to continue to track it and tell you what's going to happen. Now, if you don't like snow, there's always a chance that this is completely wrong and it's all going to fall apart, and it's actually going to be 80 degrees on March 12th. Are you team snow or team spring? Let me know down in the comments. The thing that I am almost 100% confident in is this big blast of cold air that's coming in. So whether you like spring or not, it is going to be cold through the middle of March. A huge shout out to our are members over here, thank you so much. Guys, more than likely tomorrow I won't do a forecast video. Instead, I will do a live stream in the evening as these storms are going on in Iowa. Obviously, we're going to be paying attention to the storms, but if nothing crazy is going on, we're just going to be doing a regular forecast. I'll be talking to chat. It'll serve as a video like this, just in a little bit of a longer format, okay? So make sure you have notifications on, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I will see you live tomorrow. Goodbye. Ooh.